Welcome everyone to CAPS Commission regular session, Community Advisory on Public Safety Commission meeting. This is January 22nd, 27th regular session. And now I have to switch over to the other screen so I can see what I'm doing. So let's do a roll call of all of our people here. That would be Commissioner Brown Sparks.
Here.
Commissioner Carey.
Here.
Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner Ford.
Here.
And Commissioner Miller here. We have staff, Becky Bustani and B Square, excuse me, and Kat's here also. I don't see any other folks here at the present time.
Oh, Nicholas here.
Yeah, you didn't call my name.
I didn't see you there. Where are you? I do not see you. There you are. Okay. That's why I didn't call it yet. You're not in the queue yet. Commissioner Routsong is in attendance.
Here.
Is also in attendance. And sorry for that. Now you're in the queue. That will help. So we need a volunteer to take the minutes. First, we have to approve the agenda. My apologies. Has everyone looked at the agenda so we can approve it? Or well, let me put it this way. I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it. I'm sorry. First. I'm sorry. Okay. I will second that motion.
So we need a motion to approve the agenda first, and then we go on to a second. So thank you for the second. Now I need somebody to make a motion for it.
I'll motion to approve.
Everybody, great. Okay, thank you.
It's been a day. I'm telling you, brain is.
It has. Let's do a voice vote. Commissioner Routsong.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Ford.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown Sparks.
Yes.
And Commissioner Miller, yes. So that motion carries. Okay, now we need a volunteer to take the minutes. Do we have any volunteers today?
Do we have that template still?
Yeah, the template is, so you take your notes and staff can help plug that in too. There's a template on the shared drive, our shared drive.
Okay,
So,
let me grab it.
you could do that with your notes later also. But
I was trying to find a pen so I can actually take notes. That's why I have my camera out there. I'm so unprepared. Let me do that. Give me one moment, okay?
okay, great, thank you. I could pass you one, but it won't get to you. It looks like Commissioner Carey has volunteered for that. Yay, if she can find a pen.
I have my formal assistant, AKA my children, bringing me something now, so.
Perfect, so you're going to jot down that you volunteered to take the minutes when you get that pen, okay?
Okay.
And it'll help you just to have a copy of the agenda in front of you, and you can kind of take notes off of that, what is happening as we go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I am all set.
Okay, so we did the roll call. Okay. And then we had the approval of the agenda, which you seconded. Thank you. And there were lots of people who made the motion, so pick one.
Okay.
And then you volunteered to read the minutes. Thank you again. And now we're going to work on approving the minutes from December 9th first.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so by voice call, voice vote, or no, we have to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Roudsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller, yes. So that vote carries 5-0.
Okay, who was, I'm sorry to go backwards, but who was the first, the motion was made by Camilla, correct?
Yes.
I got that right. And then who was the first?
I
and
think
second?
it was Commissioner Mann, was it
Okay.
not?
Yes.
So Commissioner Brown Sparks and then Commissioner Mann.
Okay, perfect. Got it.
So now I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for January 13th, 22. That was a work session. And there's very little minutes because we came together and we dismissed the meeting.
Yeah.
Because people just were not there for scheduling reasons. But we still need to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And we'll take a voice vote or a roll call vote. Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Roudsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller, yes. And that motion carries 5-0 also. Or is that 6 now? Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6. So forgive me, Commissioner Carey, could you correct that? It's actually 6-0 on that other, not 5-0.
Yes.
Thank you. Time limits for discussion. I think we're going to have the bulk of our discussion. Well, I don't have a clue where we're going to have a lot of our discussion, but I think to keep things moving along, it would be good to set some time limits for comments like we did during the last regular session. If people recall, we had 3 minutes and then 2 minutes for the second round, 3 minutes for the first round, second round was 2 minutes, I believe, or 3 and 3, whatever everybody decides we want to do. Any ideas and any motions in that regard? Don't everybody talk at once now.
So are we voting to agree on the time limit? Is that what we're doing? I was so busy taking notes. I'm sorry.
Oh, I understand. I was asking if anyone wanted to, if anybody had any suggestions about the time limit for discussions, and then to make a motion for that if anybody had any thoughts on it.
Well, I believe the last time we did it kind of worked. I mean, I don't think we went over any time limit. Everybody kept it to the minimum that they were supposed to, from what I remember. So I have no problem with doing it how we did it the last time.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Carey. Anybody else have any comments in that regard? So I would entertain a motion if not. And does everybody know where the raise hand function is under reactions at the bottom of the screen? So time limits. I would entertain a motion for setting some time limits if anybody wants to make one.
All right, what are the time limits for?
For discussion and debate, Commissioner Routsong, once we get started talking about specifics in the agenda, we would have first round conversation and then second round. And those are what those time limits are for.
It's time limits for us commissioners to speak?
Yeah, it's just to keep things moving along like it did in the last regular session. We had a lot to do, so it kept things moving and seemed to work, as Commissioner Carey had said, that nobody seemed to need more time. But that's what that's for.
Thanks. I don't have any particular opinions on it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Routsong.
I'll go ahead and make a motion if no one has any issues with maybe keeping the first round to 3 minutes and the second round to 2 minutes. I think that worked pretty well last time.
I'll second that. Excuse me, I'll second that.
Okay, let's take a vote on that. That's Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
and Commissioner Routsong,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all. I know these are kind of mundane things, but it's things we have to take care of first. So thank you for hanging in there. Reports. Does anybody have anything that they want to report? This is a kind of a newer category for our agenda. I like it. Hopefully other people will too. If you have something that you want to report on, this would be a good time to do it. And excuse me, I am so sorry. I have to let my dog out. I'll be right back. I hear ya. Oh my. Is it an emergency? Come here. Come in. Go on. Thank you. Pardon me, that must have been an emergency. Commissioner Routsong, you have your hand up for reports?
Yes, thank you. I would like to report on the anti-Semitism resolution that was briefly mentioned in our December meeting.
Mhm.
And I've made some initial contact to the local. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I made some initial contact to the local community on that issue, and I had a brief discussion with Kamala about that today, and I can't remember if anyone else wanted to be involved in the drafting of that resolution, but if so, they should please feel free to contact me or email me. And we're doing outreach now with the local community on that resolution. And hopefully we'll have a draft ready by like our February meeting. That would be ideal, I think.
That's great. Yes, I actually had said that I wanted to be involved in that. So please keep me in the loop and just add me to your emails. If I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anyone else? Or was that all? Commissioner Routsong, your hand is still up, so I don't.
Yes, that's all. That's all to report, except for just to add that there was, after our meeting in December, there have been additional anti-Semitic hate crimes committed on campus and in our community. And so this is unfortunately a very timely resolution.
Yeah, it's bad. Excuse me, I'm interrupting.
That's all. I'm finished.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other commissioners have any reports? Seeing none.
Well, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I raised my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Sorry, no, I need to learn to use that function. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I actually wanted to. It was more of a concern to bring up. I know it's a total different entity, but some comments that were made at the school board meeting about the LGBTQ community. The statement that was made basically saying that the LGBTQ, and forgive me if I'm using the wrong, the wrong phrase. I apologize. But they were saying that kids were bullying straight children because they weren't like them. And that caused some concern for me. I'm doing a little bit of research before I really put out, maybe a resolution for it. But in my experience, has always been the opposite. So I don't want that false statement to become something that is real, because, we need to protect all of our children. You know what I'm saying? We should see all of our children the same, no matter what they choose. You know what I'm saying? And that really upset me because that's not a true statement. Yeah. So I did want to bring that up. And I'm trying to find some resolution for it to see what we can do about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. I know I'm having some issues with a nephew in school being treated much differently. It doesn't take much to see when we walk by in a detention room that it's full of children that are Black.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
so he's having some difficulty there.
Yeah.
And by no effort of his to be there either.
Yeah.
He was actually doing far less than anyone else and was sent there. So
Yes.
anyway, I appreciate you bringing that up. And if you'd like to talk about that with me privately, and maybe we could come up with a solution together just to work through things like that, I'd be happy to help you with it.
Most definitely.
I see a hand up. Was that all, Commissioner Carey?
Yes, that was all.
Okay. Commissioner Parks?
I would like to be included in that conversation. Something I'm studying is discrimination and issues that BIPOC children face in education, and also looking at issues that have been faced in the past to current. And I know that experiences that I've had and the people in my generation have had and my girls had, and unfortunately, it really hasn't gotten any better. When my girls were in school, when you were talking about the people saying that the straight kids are being bullied, my youngest daughter graduated in 2017 from North, and when she was there, one of the kids, he was talking about if they can wear their flags with the shirts with their flags, we should be able to all wear our flags and be proud too. So he got a large Confederate flag out of his backpack and wrapped that around him. And he actually said that to my other daughter. And my other daughter is very, very, very fair skinned. And so I guess he didn't realize that she was also Black. And he said that to her. He was like, shouldn't we have our flags? And she said, well, actually, that's not my flag. And the person that you said that to is my sister. And she explained to him why she didn't enjoy that flag and what that flag meant to her.
Yes.
And it actually caused a problem where the students at North actually had a protest, because at North, it wasn't against the rules to wear those type of flags or have those type of materials, even though at South you weren't allowed to do that. It was still okay for you to do that at North at that time. So
I remember that. I remember that situation coming up. I do. Yeah.
that was my daughter's. So there are a lot of things that still need to be changed that haven't changed from when I was in school and my first grade teacher used to call me a nigger every day.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so sad.
It is. Thank you, Commissioner Brown Sparks, for sharing that. Anyone else on the for reports at this time before we move on to the rest of what's
Commissioner Routsong has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Routsong?
Oh, sorry, I just wanted a clarifying question to Commissioner Carey. What was it again that was said that was the false statement? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it the first time you said it.
That the LGBTQ community is bullying the straight kids in school. Yeah.
Thank you.
That was the comment.
Okay. So reports from committees is what's next on the agenda. Do we have any reports from the committees? I know I have one. And I think the conversation that's going to be coming up in the agenda later will help with getting those moving if those aren't moving yet. Looking for hands up. Is that a hand, Commissioner Brown Sparks?
I'm not sure what you want us to report on. I wasn't at the last meeting, but my committee has met. So
Your committee of,
the BIPOC and Atonement Committee.
okay. So that would be the time to just say how that meeting went.
It was a good meeting. We would like more members.
And who was in attendance and that sort of thing.
Myself and Commissioner Outsung were at the meeting. We discussed the Anti-Semitism Resolution. We also discussed other issues that were taking place in the community. We discussed things that we would like to work on for like the African American community, buildings that had important significance that we would like to see maybe preserved for that community.
Mm-hmm.
Things that have happened in the past that maybe atonement needs to be made for. Perhaps a way of making some kind of economic atonement for the things that have happened in the past. But we are just in the beginning phases. Today was only our first meeting, so that's where we're at right now.
Thank you for that. I'd love to ask questions, but I want to know if anybody else has any of those questions first. Seeing none. Was LGBTQ plus any part of the conversation?
We haven't talked about it specifically, but that is included in the marginalized groups that we want to represent.
Okay, thank you. So it's an overarching committee.
Well, I want it to be like BIPOC and atonement includes all of the marginalized groups in the community that have been wrong, and like the issues that have happened that the city needs to atone for. So that's where the atonement part came in. So if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other? Was that all? I don't want to.
Oh, and the name of the committee. I want the name of the committee to be BIPOC and Atonement instead of what it is now.
So, do you want to make a motion to do that, and we can do that? We can.
Yeah.
go ahead and make that formal?
I would like to make a motion to change the name from my committee from reparations and atonement to BIPOC issues and atonement.
And it's also going to be more
And
than
it's been,
BIPOC. Okay.
yes, and marginalized. It's also going to be marginalized groups of Bloomington
Thank you.
included in BIPOC. So I don't know how to word that really. Maybe I can ask for suggestions from the rest of the commissioners.
Oh, well, I was under the impression that this committee was specifically focused on Black, Indigenous people of color marginalization. I wasn't aware that it was going to focus on all marginalized types of people.
I wanted to work on the majority of the issues are those groups, but I still felt like I wanted to create a way for there to be like a liaison for people to be able to contact when they have issues instead of just trying to work with the city on their own. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. And yeah, we can name it whatever you want. I think it's called now reparations and atonement.
Yes.
Okay.
We can also give your committee time to think about that further, and you can get back to us.
Okay.
That isn't something we have to do today.
Okay. Can we just call it that commission or that committee?
That committee.
That committee.
That good committee. Sure. I like that. Let me make sure nobody else has their hands up. I don't see any. I can report that the research committee has scheduled their first meeting for February 1st. And that will be at, somebody tell me, is it 5 o'clock? I'll have to look on my calendar. I believe it's 5 o'clock.
Yes, it's 5 o'clock.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
I have lots of different screens and they're all covering each other. So thank you for that. So that's the only report I have on that. We'll be meeting for the first time, and I'm excited to get that underway with Commissioner Carey, Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Routsong, and myself. Moving along, let's see if staff has anything to report to us.
I don't have anything to report except to, as I do every month, remind you that technically the governor's order allowing electronic meetings technically ends on the 31st. So hopefully it's extended again, but if not, then we're going to have to figure out where we can hold the next meeting. I assume City Hall is okay for folks. And if you need the electronic meeting policy, I did put it in the Google Drive, and I believe I sent it out to everyone. But we can worry about that if it actually happens. So that's all.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more thing.
I was thinking there might be.
I heard, I got an email from Commissioner Jagdish, who is not, obviously is not on this meeting. And today was his appointment ends at the end of the month. But he did want to thank everyone and said how much he appreciated being able to participate. So I did want to pass that on. And that's it.
Thank you. It's sad that this wasn't a good time for everybody. I was really hoping to be able to pick a time where everyone could attend. So I believe there's another announcement to be made. And I guess I can, let's see where we are. Reports from public and public comment. Do we have anybody in the public that wants to speak? It doesn't look like we have any public here today, so I see no hands for that. So let's move on to unfinished business and leadership roles. And that's kind of a segue back to some announcements that are going to be made also. And that is both Commissioner Brown Sparks as chair has decided to move on from that position, and I want to thank her personally for serving in that seat for the last 6 months. Thank you so much for that. I know there were many times that wasn't an easy job, and on that note, as the co-chair, I will be stepping aside and giving other people a chance to also fill in some leadership roles. So we're going to find some new leaders for our commission, hopefully during this session, and give other people some voices, because I think that's important to do. It's also a good learning experience. Sometimes it's easier than it, sometimes it's not so easy, and sometimes it is easy. I'll just put it that way. So.
So,
Okay.
now I'm not volunteering. Just asking.
Well,
Is that an open conversation today?
so that is the update on the
Okay.
leadership roles. That was unfinished business leadership roles, sort of. We had talked in the past about having different types of leaders, and then we kind of stopped talking about that because it was taking up so much time. I am one that prefers not having your typical, excuse me, I have something in my eye, the typical Robert's rules, hierarchy, order. But for now, I think so we can get to some business, that might be where we are until we get something else set up. And we certainly don't have anything else set up right now. So as the person asked to chair this meeting, I would like to ask for volunteers to step forward to be first, I suppose, chair. And obviously you see that Commissioner Brown Sparks and I are not going to hop on that. So that leaves a couple people, and not very many, but we'd like to see somebody step forward for that.
With the proper guidance on exactly the responsibilities, I'd be interested in possibly doing a co-chair position and kind of being able to mitigate responsibilities with another leader, possibly.
So how that works is there's a chair and a co-chair. The chair takes on the role of setting the agenda, and then the chair asks the co-chair for help. So one person has to take, the way it is now, and this is what I don't care for about the way it's set up right now. I'm talking with my hands. Can we change that? I don't know. We probably could. Staff, are we allowed to change that by a motion, et cetera, if we had another person that wanted to co-chair with another person?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, so instead of having just not to minimize, instead of having a chair and then a co-chair, could we have two people that are co-chairs?
Yeah, that's up to the commission. Absolutely.
Okay, so is First, do we have anybody who also might want to throw in their hat to helping with that? Commissioner Carey?
I would love to throw in my hat, but between work and school and then attending the other commission meetings, I don't feel like I would be giving it my all, and I like to give it my all. So I'll step back this time.
Okay. Commissioner Routsong? You're in the queue there. Are you interested in co-chairing that?
I am only interested if someone else wants to take the leadership of that. I am willing to play a support role and in leadership. And but I also wanted to suggest maybe are we going to have any new members before the next meeting? Should we allow time? Are we doing official elections today? Are we doing officer elections right now? Or is this just an informal kind of a pre-poll for who might be interested for next month to do an official officer elections?
That's a good question, Commissioner Routsong. It can be whatever we want it to be. We're all decision makers here in this. I know we have some applicants, but that doesn't mean they will be on the commission, and we aren't sure exactly when those interviews will be. Staff, Becky, would you like to speak on that briefly? I like the idea of waiting if we need to have more people.
There are 3 applicants currently, but the council is just getting organized, and it looks like they've scheduled their first interview committee meeting. So that's a new committee that the council's formed, or actually it's bringing back an old committee. But so it looks like they're actually working on it. So it's possible that before the next regular session, there could be new members. But I really don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Ford, since you said you would be interested in that, would you be willing to take the lead on that with Commissioner Routsong helping?
Wait, you'd never asked Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex, did you have your hand up and you wanted to do this? My apologies if you did.
No, I did not have my hand up, and I feel like I'm in the same position as Commissioner Carey right now, with commitments, and I wouldn't be able to be fully present in a role like that right now. So my apologies on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Did I leave anybody else out? Commissioner Carey, you have your hand up?
Yes, I actually just had like a suggestion. Would we be able to table this? I mean, I know that you guys are ready to pass those responsibilities on, and I know that we don't know when we're going to get new commissioners. Until then, or is it's just a suggestion? That way we give everybody a chance. Not trying to say that Commissioner Ford or Commissioner Routsong, I'm so sorry, I always mess up your name. Please don't charge it to my heart. Like if they're good to go for it, then yes, I'm game for it. They're going to be great at it. But maybe to give other people a chance that's coming in that's new, that might just a question, just a question.
So the idea was that we are in the calendar year that ends for, so we're starting a new session.
Yes.
So for me, that was a good time to step aside.
Okay.
And Commissioner Brown Sparks
Mhm.
needed to step aside a little while back. So
Yes.
I've
Yes.
been carrying some weight here, and I think it's time that I ask for some help with that. So
Yes. Yes.
if other people are willing, I would like to see that happen.
Okay.
And y'all don't need me doing this all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love to hear your voice, but like I definitely understand, like the giving everyone else a chance to spread the responsibilities around. So I definitely understand that. Just wondering.
So just for clarification, it sounds like Commissioner Miller, that we are doing elections today in this meeting, new officer elections.
I don't think I can make that decision myself. I can only tell you that I am looking forward to having other leadership. I've been honored to do it. Made some mistakes, made some good things happen. We can certainly take a voice opinion on it and decide whether or not we are going to take a vote on it. We heard from a suggestion from Commissioner Carey. I would like to hear from the two people that are interested in taking it on. That would be Commissioner Ford and you, Commissioner Routzone.
I'm fine with starting in a like vice chair position. I would volunteer for a vice chair position tonight, if that would be helpful to the commission.
For myself, I am definitely not comfortable being in the highest leadership position. I think that with my level of experience, I could definitely do a co-chair or a vice chair, but I do not think it would be right of me to stand up to the highest position, just because I want to keep this commission running and I want someone that is better qualified to do that.
So thank you both for that. Any other discussion? I'm going to weigh in, knowing that we have 3 applicants then. Anyone else? Commissioner Brown Sparks?
I know that you all are busy. I know that you have other things to do with your lives. While I have chaired this commission, I have literally turned white, lost the first layer of skin on my hand, had an IV going during the meeting. I've done all kinds of things and still had this meeting, like still chaired these meetings while people have missed meetings for no reasons, really, and everything. So it's been very frustrating. I don't really know what to say. I know there are people that are new to this commission. I'm very dedicated to this cause, or I wouldn't still be here. But it's really, really, really frustrating. I mean, I have a disease that's trying to kill me literally every day, but I'm still here. And I didn't know what I was doing, obviously. I don't know what to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown Sparks, for your comment and your dedication to the commission. Thank you.
Can I just say, I think maybe we need to table it to next month, because I feel like it wasn't on the agenda that we were going to have officer elections. And I just don't think all of us were prepared to make that decision tonight. I know I wasn't.
So yeah, it just said leadership roles, and That's what we're talking about. So, could I ask for Commissioner Ford, could I ask for your help between now and the next meeting with preparing and working on what's coming up next for next month?
Yes, I'd be comfortable with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so I think that's probably a good idea, Commissioner Routsong. Let's table this until next month. And knowing that during the next meeting, Commissioner Ford and I are going to kind of chair together. Maybe that'll give you an idea of whether or not that's something you want to do. You know, so anyway.
Yeah, I would just suggest we put on the agenda, officer elections. And that gives me and Shelby a chance to talk about what, if we co-chaired, what that might be like and explore that, but, and not make a rush decision like this.
Absolutely. And there's also going to be 3 other applicants that might want to put their
Exactly.
applicant
Yeah.
to. We'll just have to wait and see. Absolutely. So any other comments or discussion on this topic before we move on?
If possible, if it's possible, I would love to sit in and maybe listen to what, you guys, I mean, of course I see the meeting, but what really goes into it. And then maybe, I can open up that possibility
Sure.
of,
Do it too.
putting my name in the hat, so I'm definitely open to that maybe, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Commissioner Ford, are you okay with that? Okay. And I know I was asking you to help me, Commissioner Ford. So is that the meeting you're talking about?
Yes, definitely. Sorry about that. I should have clarified.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want to leave out Commissioner Routsong if there was something else that was going on there. So
Yeah, I just
thank
to
you for
kind
the
of
clarity.
see, yeah, just to see, what all goes into it. Like, I want to be prepared when I, commit to something. I like to give my full,
Absolutely.
full
And
self. So
I appreciate that. So I appreciate you thinking that thoroughly ahead. I really do. So thank you. Okay. So going forward, discussion going forward, I think we kind of covered that for right now. We're going to wait, and we're going to have that on the agenda. And hopefully we'll have some new applicants too, to welcome. We are down to committee discussion. This, I think we were thinking of, when I say we, me, roles, expectations, and also staff, because I asked for some help with this, because I guess I wasn't very clear, and my apologies for that. This is a learning situation for me, and it will be for, I think, others as well sometimes. Other committees that I've been on and volunteered for, you do something every week on your committee. You have assignments. You meet in the committee and you figure out who's going to do A, who's going to do B, who's going to do C. But where we were was who is reaching out. First, who's reaching out to have that first meeting. And in that first meeting, hopefully we're finding out who's, a schedule for the next committee meeting, and breaking down the jobs within the committee. So again, each committee, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, would be doing something every week per committee. Okay, if you're on alternative to policing, you're working on that every week. And you're going to bring back in the agenda topic of committees, reports, what you've done as a committee, so we can start moving forward. Otherwise, we're going to kind of just be stagnant, and we don't want to do that. So that was, for me, that's an expectation of a committee member. If you're on a committee, you got to do something. That's my expectation. Does anybody else have anything as far as a committee member and want to add to that discussion? Commissioner Mann? I'm doing a roll call. I'm not picking on you.
I don't have anything to add. I know that for the conflict resolution group, we still need to schedule a first meeting. And I'm also waiting on the alternatives to policing group for that meeting to be scheduled as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. I believe it was you that was going to be reaching out for one of those committees. Are you familiar with
For
the
conflict resolution group?
Yeah.
For the conflict resolution group, yeah, I think we started an email chain and then got derailed on that. So we can pick that back up immediately. Yeah.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you for that. So, Commissioner Carey, Commissioner Mann is going to be the one reaching out for that. And I think that's on our Google Drive already, but that could be in the minutes again. Then we had another commissioner that was going to be reaching out for the alternatives to policing committee, but that commissioner is, I believe, not going to reapply. Their commission is also up. Am I right about that, staff?
Yes, she actually told us in writing that she would not be continuing. So
Okay.
her term expires on the 31st.
Thank you. And that's Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Carey.
Okay, got that down. And her last is the 31st, correct? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
That's correct. And maybe we have these a little out of order for discussion. And because I see that we are supposed to be talking about commissioners on each committee and how many committees a person can be on, et cetera, and have at least a discussion about that. So I'd like to make a motion that we switch at least item, we don't have to switch anything. Let's just keep talking about it and get through it. So, process for adding and removing people, is there any discussion for that? And then we're going to also be talking about setting limit of number of commissioners on each committee, and also set a limit on number of committees a member can be on. So while thinking about all of those things, the discussion is process for adding and removing people from committees. I would think that's, you ask to be removed, you ask to be added, but you would also need to know how many people are on a committee. So we only have right now 6. How many do we have right now, Becky? Active?
You mean commissioners?
Yes. Do we have
Technically 8 until the 31st, then it'll go down to 6.
Okay, so the 6 are here today.
Right.
And then possibly another 3, making it 9. So for sake of discussion, the idea was, how many people do we want on each committee? And then how many committees per person would a person be on? For me personally, 2 is probably a good limit for me, knowing that I've got to work on a committee, something on each committee every week, and there's expectations to do that. Anybody else have any thoughts about that? Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, 4 commissioners per committee seems to make sense because that's still under the number required for a quorum, if I'm remembering correctly, so that then the committees are not bound by quorum rules for public disclosure or anything like that. It would just make the committee, it would make it easier to meet informally. So that's my suggestion, 4 people per committee.
Thank you for that comment. I know that that's a little touchy of a situation if you have more than one. If you do it on a regular basis, you still have to be open to the public. Staff isn't that kind of correct? Even it doesn't matter if it's 3.
Actually, that's not true because the
Okay.
commission has formalized committees. They are now their
Right.
own entities. So then a committee, if there's 4 people on it, even 2 would be a quorum, or maybe it's 3. I think 3 would be a quorum. So, I mean, if they were just working groups, like informal working groups, that would have worked. But because the commission decided to do committees, every committee meeting needs to be public. So you just need to let me know, and I can 48 hours before, and I can make a notice.
So, Alex, does that change anything on your opinion of the 4?
No, I still, regardless, 4 seems to make sense.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Other discussion, Commissioner Routzon? Did you have your hand up, Commissioner Routzon, for this discussion?
Yes, I did. Thank you. As far as limiting the number of committees that a commissioner can serve on, I feel like that is something that's best left up to each commissioner to decide for themselves how much time they have to devote, unless it becomes an issue. I don't see necessarily that being an issue right now that we're having.
Any other comments regarding that? We were also talking about the number of people on each committee. There's a lot of work that's
Yeah, I
going
suppose if we're going to limit the number of people on each commission, we may need to limit the number of commissions per person, just to make sure one person isn't like hogging all the positions if they're limited. But I frankly don't see a reason to limit the number of people on each commission either.
I think for us the idea was that we're going to be diving into really succinct things. And it was a topic that was brought up for debate, and I'm glad we're having it. I think, would anyone else, because the chair, the way that Robert's rules is, which I don't necessarily like, is the chair usually waits until the end. Excuse me.
Shelby.
I was just gonna ask, so how many committees do we have? We only have 6 commissioners now, so I was just curious how many committees.
Hi, kiddo. Oh, don't say kiddo.
I'm not
I
sure.
can answer that. There are, the commission has voted in 5 committees.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. So if everybody had, if each commission of 5 had 4 members, somebody needs to do the algebra and solve for X, because I'm not a mathematician here. And my spouse isn't here. And so they can't, she can't solve for X for me. But that would be a lot for any one person. And also it would be if everybody was, if one person was on each and every committee, I'm afraid that it would possibly not allow all voices to be heard. But since we only have 6 right now, that might not be an issue. But when we get down to having 9, that might become an issue. So, and I think we're going to be there real soon, having 9 members. I'm sorry, I thought I was just going last. Did you have something else, Commissioner Routzon?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I currently am on all of the committees, and I also have a particular arrangement where I spend more time on the commissions these days because I only work part-time. And so that's why I had mentioned that I thought it should be left up to the commissioner to decide. Also, I've joined all these committees, but only like 2 of them have actually met in the last 3 months. And so one, I guess, anyway, I just feel like limiting the number of committees a person could be on right now, it just feels like a problem we don't have. And I also feel strongly that, like, these are all topics that for some of us are very near and dear to our heart. And, I feel like if someone really strongly wants to help in all these categories, I'm not sure how that's harming anyone. So anyway, just to put my 2 cents in there, I frankly don't see the need right now to limit either the number of people per, I don't see the problem with having all of us on a committee, because frankly, we're getting work done outside of our committee on the whole that we wouldn't be getting done otherwise. So I frankly don't see a reason to limit either one.
Anyone else for the second round? Or third round? That might have been third round. I'm not sure. I think that was third round. So am I hearing anyone being concerned at all about people, commissioners being on all the committees? I heard someone who's not concerned about that. Seeing no hands at all. Oh, I see a hand. Excuse me, Commissioner Ford.
So I did just do like the little quick math, and it looks like if we're trying to have 4 members on each commission, and I do think a minimum member count would actually be kind of helpful because it would be like, we can't form this commission until we have at least this many people that are planning to work on it, because I think that'll help with productivity. So I think 4 members would be good for productivity, and that would have everyone being on 3 commissions. And so I think that would, not even having the maximum number, but almost the minimum number would help people, help us at least keep our commissions with enough people. So if someone can't come to a meeting or can't do their weekly work, we can all come in together on each of those different committees and work towards keeping up with our goal for the future. So that's my thought on it. I do think having at least everyone trying, obviously depending on their exact life circumstances, but trying to be on 3 committees would be helpful.
Thank you for that input, Commissioner Ford. And thank you for doing the math.
Quit.
Okay, I like a good debate, and I appreciate everybody's input for sure. So, are we going to make some decisions on committees tonight, and are we then going to make sure we all know who's going to be reaching out to those committees? I think we should. Commissioner Ford, you still have your hand up. Is that on purpose? Okay. Commissioner Brown Sparks, I see a hand.
I agree with the minimum.
Could you tell me a little bit more?
I agree. If we're going to do that, then I agree with we should have to be in a minimum amount of groups instead of saying that you can't be in the groups that you want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather people be in the groups that they really, really want to be in instead of not being able to be in them.
Mm-hmm. Hey. Thank you. So I guess that was like round. I apologize. I'm going to let her out again. Commissioner Routsong, it looks like you have your hand up. You want to go ahead? Come on. Come on. My apologies. She's
Oh,
not.
sorry. I think I accidentally muted early. Did you guys hear my comment?
No.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I agree with Shelby that we should have a minimum number of commissioners per committee and a minimum number of committees per commissioner. And I would move that we don't need maximums for either category at this time, unless it becomes an issue.
Okay, so are you making a motion because you were moving for something? So, or were you just sharing your opinion and then we'll go further?
Just sharing my opinion.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like a minimum of 4 people per committee. What if there's only 3 that are interested? Does that mean then that we can't get anything done? or we can't move forward without it. I'm afraid that if we tie our hands too much, then we can't even get anything done with 3 people if we make a minimum. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm all for getting 4 people in each group if we can. And I think that's a good goal. Commissioner Ford, you have your hand up.
So I was just curious to see how everyone else felt. Obviously, so 4 would be if everyone was equally divided into different groups, but we could have a minimum of 3. That would give some leeway room. I just don't know how productive, and obviously I'm open to other people's opinions on this. I just don't know how productive a 2-member committee would be. That's kind of my thought process on having more of a minimum of how productive are we going to be in these committees? Are we going to be able to reach our goals for this coming year?
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. We have a lot to attend to. So that is you and Commissioner Mann both thought 4 was good. And I also think 4 is a really good number. I do think sometimes 2 could get something done depending on what it is. But I think that's a good thing to strive for. Meow. I heard a meow. My cat snuck in the last time. Do we want to vote on a minimum, or do we want to not vote on a minimum? I heard 1, 2, 3 out of 6 make a minimum. So I guess I would entertain a motion if someone wants to make a motion to have a minimum with no maximums at this time on the number of committees. We could do that in 2 separate votes too.
I can move to make a minimum of 3 people per committee, and then have a maximum at later time when we get more members.
And what are you thinking for a maximum, the 4?
Yes, when we get more members though, they can help get some ideas on that.
There's a motion on the floor for a minimum of 3. Are you seconding the motion, Commissioner Brown Sparks?
I have a question.
Okay.
If my commission doesn't get 3, or if my committee doesn't get 3 people, does that mean that it doesn't get to exist?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I didn't want it to tie our hands to not be able to move
Because
forward.
nope. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if we wanted to really
Not
tie our hands that way. I think that was my idea of striving for that, and I don't want to keep taking the mic. So there was certainly a motion on the floor, but with new commissioners coming aboard, it's very possible that you could reach out, the 2 of you, or I believe there's 2 on that committee now, could reach out to others and to ask if maybe they would be interested or others would be interested in that committee. And in no time, you probably will have another person. I don't think it means, to me, it wouldn't mean that you can't do anything, but that depends on the motion and what we make it be, what our decision is on it. I would say you could still meet with 2, and we're striving for 3 as a minimum. And I would recommend an amendment to that motion to strive for that minimum. In fact, I'd like to make a motion to amend that motion to strive for 3 as a minimum per commission or per committee. Is there a second for that? Oh, there's a hand up. Hold on. Commissioner Routzon.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that we don't vote our BIPOC reparations committee out of existence. And if anything, maybe we should vote on minimum number of committees per commissioner, and that might help increase the number of commissioners on some committees who need commissioners.
Yep, I agree. We're getting there. We're getting there. Good point, Commissioner Routzon. So I made there were two motions. On the floor, and I didn't hear a second for either one. So let's go back to let's do that first. What's the minimum number? And this is up for discussion, and I'm going to do roll call, first round, second rounds, for how many committees per commissioner. And this is how many committees you need to be on, okay? So Commissioner Brown Sparks, what's your thoughts? How many committees each commissioner will need to be on? I think Commissioner Ford said 3, was that correct? A minimum of 3? You have any thoughts on that? Okay, Commissioner Ford, you?
So the minimum of 3 was to have 4 members each committee, but realistically, I think putting it down to 2 and then having people choose if they want to do more will be more attainable for people who don't have the excess time to be on multiple committees.
Thank you. Commissioner Mann? Maximum, mandatory number of committees.
I agree. Minimum of 2 sounds reasonable, and I think it's going to be hard for us to dictate a minimum number of commissioners per committee right now because there are only 6 of us. I think once we get more members, then that might be more appropriate, but I certainly don't want to, put in any rules that would exclude a committee because it has less than 3 members right now. And I think we're probably all in agreement about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Routzon, you're up for comment, first round.
I support a minimum of 2 committees per commissioner and no maximum limit and no minimum or maximum on number of commissioners per committee at this time.
Okay, thank you. Just wrapping my head around that whole thing there. So I would entertain a motion to have a minimum of asking each commissioner to be on at least 2 committees.
I'll second that motion.
I'm going to entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to have each commissioner strive to be on at least 2 committees.
I'll second that.
And by Roll call vote. Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Routsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
She
She's
says yes.
unable to mute, or she's unable to unmute, she said, because she had to rejoin the meeting, but she said yes in the chat.
thank you,
Oh,
Commissioner.
there it is. Success. Yes.
Yay. There we go. And yes, from Commissioner Miller also. Okay. Does someone want to, or I would entertain a motion to whether to set a number of committees a member can be on?
I would like to make a motion to set a number. Oh my Lord, Jesus! I just had a brain scramble of the number of committees that a commissioner can be on. Did I say that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Or did we? I'll second that motion since I heard no seconds. Or did we decide we were going to table that until we had more people? And we're creating maybe a problem that we don't have. So we'd still have to vote on it because we had a motion and a second. So Commissioner Brown Sparks, we're voting on are we going to make a limit to the number of committees a person can be on?
I abstain from voting.
Okay. Commissioner Mann?
I'm sorry, I'm confused as to exactly what this motion is and exactly what we're voting yes on.
Because I
yes or
thought we were already decided we weren't going to vote on that now. Earlier, like maybe 5 minutes ago. I thought we decided we weren't going to vote on that now. So
That's what I kind of thought too, and I kind of we both did it, and so then I said, oh, but I think we just decided not to do that right now until we had more people, and if it were a problem, then we would do it. So we're just going through the motions now. Becky, is there a way I can clean that up and just stop that without going forward?
Yeah, I don't think you have to go ahead and make a vote.
Okay, great.
I think we can, it can be, a little more informal. So
Okay.
it should be fine.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just wanted to make sure that Commissioner Routsong, you knew that I heard your opinion on that, and we were just going to have a discussion about it, but we really don't have enough people to worry about any of that right now. I agree with you. It could become a problem later on, though. So moving on, we are at scheduling the first meetings, back to that. So Commissioner Mann, you had said you're going to schedule one. What committees? Let's see, who hasn't been contacted? Commissioner Johnson was going to reach out to people for alternatives to policing to schedule a first meeting. Becky, could you tell me who's in that group, please, in that committee? So we all know who's on the hot seat for reaching out first.
Yeah, it's going to take me a second. Let me pull that up.
Thank you. Does everybody know where to find that on the shared drive, our shared drive? Becky made a nice list. Does everybody know how to get to that? If you don't, raise your hand.
I'm still having audio issues. I'm so sorry. Can you guys please repeat the question that you just asked for me?
Yes, Commissioner Carey, do you know how to get to our shared CAPS drive?
Yes, I do. The link through the email, it's a Google Drive, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is. And so,
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with it because I have an Android, so I use it all the time.
okay, great. So Becky was kind enough to put a list together of the committees and the members. And if maybe we could get, now we're just trying to figure out who's supposed to be reaching out per each committee. And I think we're down to just one.
So on the Crisis Intervention / Police Alternatives Committee, it was Johnson, but also Route Song, Mann, Miller, and Brown Sparks.
That wasn't alternatives to policing, was it?
Well, it's called Crisis Intervention / Police Alternatives.
Okay, okay. Very good. So it's Commissioner Mann, Commissioner Routsong, Commissioner, who else?
Me.
Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Brown Sparks and
and then myself.
yes.
Okay. Do I have any volunteers to reach out for the first time to schedule the meetings? I know Commissioner Mann, you had already volunteered for one. Commissioner Brown Sparks, you volunteered for one. I volunteered for one. Commissioner Routsong, would you like to volunteer to reach out to schedule?
I would not like to volunteer for that for this committee. Thank you.
I can volunteer for this one as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann.
Yes, thank you. I can't chair and do that. So do we now have, Becky, do we have all of the people necessary to reach out for the first time for all of the 5 committees? Could you put it up on the screen for me,
Yeah, let me share that.
that would actually be helpful. Thank you.
Can you see that?
I can see it as soon as I get back on there. Sorry. My spouse is usually here with our daughter, but right now, actually, our daughter lives in Myanmar. My dog. Let's see. Yes.
Okay.
Where's the cursor? Let's see. There it is. Okay. I think we have. Thank you again, Commissioner Mann. That was a lifesaver on that one. So do we have all 5 then? Research, yep. Crisis intervention, yes. Conflict resolution. Who's reaching out on conflict resolution?
Man.
That was you again, Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Yeah.
So might I suggest that these reach outs happen this week? So these committees can get started so we can actually get things accomplished each week in each committee? And does anybody want to have discussion about that? Or are we all pretty much okay with doing that this week? And I see a hand that got put up. Commissioner Routzon? Commissioner Routzon, did you have your hand up intentionally?
Yes, I just have a clarifying question. You've been saying that every committee, every person on every committee should do something every week. And I'm not sure if you mean every week or you mean every month to be able to report for our next monthly commission meeting. And so could you clarify? And if so, what are we expected to do every week? Is there a, an item that we're supposed to have are we literally supposed to have a meeting every week, or what does that entail?
Let's go back to the agenda to answer that question. Roles and expectations, committee discussion, DI. Very first part of this discussion was roles and expectations. And I think, and I know I said that I have an expectation when I'm on a committee that I'm going to do work for that committee every week. And that means when we break out into our committees, we're going to be doing work on that committee every week because we've got a lot to plow through. We have to figure out the cost to alternatives in policing. If we want to have a STAR program like they do in Denver, as Chris Richardson, our guest speaker, came and talked to us about, which I think would be perfect for Bloomington, we need to work on that in committee. And we're going to have to branch off and work on that. And that's going to take a lot of work to compile all of that. And we have a annual report that's due in May, and we need something to give to council for that annual report. So that's what I'm thinking of. When we branch out into committees, working diligently each week on our whatever we as committee members give ourselves jobs, right? I'm going to work on this, you're going to work on that, and such and such and so forth. Does that make sense? It's not that we're going to come back and report. We're going to report once a month at the regular session. But I think the expectation for me is that we're doing something each week on each committee, per person. So if I'm on 3 committees, I'm going to work on each committee every week, or we're not going to get anything done. And that's the whole reason for having expectations of being on a committee. Did that help with clarity for you?
That does help with clarity. Is that expectation going to be codified at all? Or is that just an expectation or an aspiration?
I think if it becomes a problem and we're not getting things done, I think we do codify it. And until then, it's just an aspiration.
So how often will these committees be meeting? Will they be meeting every week as well to report on what they did that week?
I think that's a committee decision to have. I know to get anything done, we're going to have to get started, and we haven't even gotten really started. So that we can figure out within our individual committees. And I don't have anything further on the answer to that. Because I'm only one person, and we're going to each have dialogue within our committees and figure those things out ourselves. I'm only one voice. If the committee's 3 people, then 3 people get to decide. Anyone else? Any questions about that? Let me run through and make sure nobody has their hands up. I don't want to miss anybody. Seeing none. So I guess for me, the expectation is let's reach out, people. If you're the one that's reaching out, let's get these meetings scheduled. The first, at least scheduled this coming week. And then maybe the first meeting into the next week. So we can start getting more organized, because I think we're lacking organization, and it's important that we get there. Is everybody okay with that and on the same page with that?
Yes.
Great. I'm seeing nods. That's a good thing. And my apologies, my camera was off because I was running back and forth with the dog. I'll put it back on. Okay. We are moving down to new business. And the first thing under new business is A, compiling questions for the Bloomington Police Department. I think this is an important thing to do. I am going to volunteer to do that, to start writing down some questions for the police department. And when I say the police department, I'm talking about the Bloomington City Police Department. We have 5, so I think we're a little over-policed in Monroe County. But I would like, we talked about this in the very beginning, compiling questions for our police department. So if anybody would like to email me with questions they may have to go on that list of questions for the police department, let me know. Email me the questions, and I'll put your questions on the list. Commissioner Routsum?
I just wanted to, to ask, could you refresh our memory on what this entails? What kinds of questions we're asking?
You could ask anything you want that seems like a valid question to you and you might not know the answer to. For me, I can give you an example if you'd like an example. Would you like one?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Because, and this kind of leans into the next topic a little bit, sexual assault, I know is on the campus and in the city. And I'd like to know how many sexual assaults we've had during the same time that we've had so many sexual assaults on campus. So, and I'd like to have a dialogue with the police department officers about that topic. Not just asking questions, but also starting a dialogue with them.
Just to follow up on my question, is this possibly something that the crisis intervention alternative policing committee should take up?
Yep.
Rather than the committee as a whole? Or is it I just want to raise it for discussion, or is it something we should discuss as committee of the whole?
That's a good question. I was thinking, I've got some experience with emergency management. I've worked in emergency management in my career. So I just was like, I'm going to write some questions down and I'm going to get a hold of some people and ask them some questions. That was my thought. Originally, another commissioner said, I would like to do that with you. But we never got around to it because we were busy chairing and co-chairing and doing the 1,000 things that sometimes that entails. So, There's a couple hands up. I think it was Commissioner Ford. You had your hand up first, and then Commissioner Brown Sparks is next.
Mine actually didn't have to do with Commissioner Ratzong's question, but I was curious if there will be, or we could possibly make a document in our Google Drive to have all of those questions written down. And to go off of Roxanne's, I think that having that be part of the commission, but other commissioners being able to write in any questions, and maybe that commission could be the one that's able to sit down with the Bloomington Police Department.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown Sparks?
I thought that maybe that was something that the committee would do. And I have some experience with law enforcement.
You do?
Just a little. And
So,
I would like to have that being on that discussion as well.
Commissioner Carey, or do you have anything to add?
Are we adding, are we voicing those concerns now, or would you like those via email?
What we're doing is just having a topic discussion about maybe just referring this to committee instead of having it as a committee of the whole, which in other words, putting this under the umbrella of the Alternatives to Policing Committee. And also possibly putting that up on Google Drive so everybody could participate. And we should be using that a lot more for everything, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's needed because I definitely I want to say a book of things I would love to talk to the police department about here in Bloomington. Yes. I mean, we'll probably be on a Zoom call for hours if I even mention anything. So that Google Drive document would be amazing.
Commissioner Mann? Any thoughts about referring that to the committee and getting and how that would work with a Google Drive in that sense of getting questions together for the committee if we put it in committee and not commission as a whole?
I think it sounds like everyone's in agreement that we should have a Google Drive that everyone can access so that all the commissioners can suggest questions for the police department. But it probably does make the most sense that it's the Crisis Intervention Police Alternatives Committee that then collects those questions and actually conveys them to the police department somehow.
Okay. Does anybody know what I'm going to say next? It's a little trick question. Besides, I need more coffee at this hour.
Is it to make a motion?
Oh, see?
I'm catching on.
See, you're going to be great.
I make a motion to have a Google document with the questions and then to also refer it to the So sorry, guys.
I second.
Okay, let's go. Let's do a vote on that. Commissioner Brown Sparks?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
Commissioner Roudsong, and thank you for that. That was a perfect way of handling that. Thank you. Commissioner Roudsong?
Yes.
Commissioner Carey?
Yes.
And Commissioner Miller. Motion carries 6-0. I wanted that on the agenda because it hadn't been discussed, and I figured it'd end up there, but then I forgot. So thank you again, Commissioner Roudsong. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is sexual assaults in Bloomington on and off campus. We as in Commissioner Brown Sparks and I, had someone reach out to us, and we met with them several months ago about the problem with sexual assaults and rape, alleged rapes on campus. And it was a good meeting. It was a hard meeting. And she shared some articles about the problems that they're having on campus with that. And it got me thinking about also the fact that we have that issue in Bloomington as a whole, but we don't probably hear about it as much as on campus. And that's why we're also going to be asking about that in the other questions for the police department. And it's probably written down somewhere, and they'll point us to it, and I'll feel, oh, gee, thanks. There's numbers or somewhere. But I just want this to be on the forefront of our minds, because it's a problem in Bloomington, and it has been for years. It has been since I was 13 years old, and that's been a while. And I'm sure it was a problem before that too, but it certainly is a problem now. So I would like to do some brainstorming about it and figure out a way we can ask ourselves how we can affect positive change, making it not the focus of it being a woman that is, or how do I word this correctly? Where it makes more cohesive sense, where we're not being blamed, where the attention is on men, because we can stop rape and sexual assault 99% of the time. That's a figure I just pulled out of my head. If men stop it. I don't know if that means we put urinal cakes in every urinal in Bloomington that says you hold the ability to stop rape in your hand, and that urinal cake says that on it in each urinal in Bloomington. But if that's what maybe sends a message to the people raping and assaulting women, then that's something we need to do and look at. So just some ideas I'd like to throw around. It's something that's pretty close to home, and when we met with that woman, I'm very sure it was close to her heart too. Any comments? Commissioner Boutzen?
Yeah, I like your creative idea there. And not to be a broken record, but this sounds like something to be addressed on the Crisis Response and Alternative Policing Committee as well.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Commissioner Ford?
I will say I'm already thinking through questions that we could add to that Google Doc, because I think looking at how the police are responding to this, I know like we have some like social workers, but typically with social workers in the police force, police respond first, and then they're like, oh, well, Band-Aid it up with a social worker. So I'm really interested to hear from, how do we respond to the victims of sexual assault? And then how are we going to, and if we are able to, campaign within schools for younger kids to be aware of what sexual assault is and try to mitigate and stop men from doing it. So.
Thank you for your comment. Very important points. Anyone else? This is new. This is just something we're just starting to think about here. So about how we're gonna do things. I heard Commissioner Routsong say that she thinks that that should be referred to committee. I think we should have this, and I'm gonna now share my opinion. I think this is something we need to discuss as a committee of the whole in the public eye because it's important. And that's my opinion on that. Because it's not, nothing's happening. Commissioner Routsong? You have a second,
I just want,
second comment?
yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I wasn't trying to detract from the importance of the issue by
Oh,
referring it to that committee. Actually, I think that by referring it to the committee, we'll get more done than by simply trying to make all of our progress in our monthly meetings on this topic.
Thank you. I wasn't trying to suggest that that is what you meant. Any other comments? Suggestions? Movement? Before we move on? Oh, guess it, somebody's home. My apologies for the loudness of the house right now. Anytime one of us is gone and the other comes home, it's oh my gosh, excitement. Any other business? We're moving on to another agenda item, and then we're going to try to wrap up, get through these last topics. Other business that what anybody would like to discuss? And staff, Becky, if there's something I'm missing is, in other business, please chime in.
Sorry, that took a minute. No, that's just on the agenda template. But I did, if I may, I did want to make sure everyone does have access to the Google Drive. Everybody should, and you're welcome to do whatever. It's your drive. So you can add things, you can make documents. I mean, whatever you would like to do. But I just want to make sure that everyone has access to that. So if anyone doesn't, please just email me and let me know, and I'll send the link out.
Thank you. And could you make sure that everybody has the retroactive version, the version from like the new commissioners came on board? They might not have the old stuff.
The drive doesn't change. The drive
Okay.
itself doesn't change. So
It's the same. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Sure.
Commissioner Routsong, did you have an addition to?
Yeah, I
other
was just
business?
following up the new business of the sexual assaults. I was going to make a motion that we ask the Committee of Crisis Intervention to prioritize that topic and maybe make a recommendation for next month.
Okay.
To encourage action.
Okay, so a motion is on the floor. We'll give it a second, see if there's a second.
I will second it.
Okay, and we're gonna do a voice vote. All right, roll call vote. Commissioner Brown Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Routsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Okay, did you guys call my name? I'm so sorry.
Yes. Yes, just
So
call the
yes, I'm voting yes. That's where we're at now, yes.
name. Okay. Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller, I vote no, so it'll pass 5-1. I would still like to see it, have seen it, commission as a whole, or committee as a whole. So that passes 5-1. Thank you. So was that all you had your, or was that what your hand was up for? Did you have anything else under other business, Commissioner Routzone? Before we move on?
Oh, yeah, I'm just confused because we actually did discuss this topic for the committee as a whole. So how did the motion to have it prioritized detract from our discussion on the committee as a whole?
I'm going to move on. The dialogue is finished. The vote is finished. And if you would like to have further discussion, we can.
No, that's fine. It sounded like you weren't happy with something, and I wanted to make sure that whatever the motion I made wasn't detracting any other actions you thought should happen on this topic.
It's okay. There will be times that we don't all agree, and that's okay. I would have liked to have seen this topic discussed in regular meetings and not referred to committee. Okay, that's all. That's all that was. Okay. Thank you. So now we're going to topic suggestions for future agendas. Because we do not have a chair right now other than myself, and I'm working with Commissioner Ford on the next meeting, could you please email any ideas for future agendas to both of us and copy us both, please? So we are both in on the ideas that you might want on the agenda for next month. And having said that, does anybody have anything they can think of right now that they would like to add, or do we just want to do it through email? Commissioner Brown Sparks, did you have a comment? You don't have a hand up. I just saw that you were outlined, so I got distracted by that nice neon green around your name. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ford.
I just wanted to, about the sexual assault, who was going to, or how we were going to discuss that. I do want that to be discussed in the next meeting, and having, if the commission can meet before that, or the committee can meet before that and come back with us about what they do, and then keep that discussion during agendas, during the, what was it? The committee reports, and then maybe having another part of the agenda where we can discuss that after committee reports.
Thank you for that. So put that down in your notes, because we'll be getting together, you and me, on coming up with the agenda. Okay. Anyone
I
else?
thought that's what we were gonna do.
What's that?
I thought we were gonna have a report in the next meeting about what we discussed about the sexual assault.
We are. She just wants to make sure that it's on the horizon, I think. So, and I'll talk with her more too about that, where that will fall. Commissioner Brown Sparks had a really good point. If you look at the agenda, can you switch to agenda right now, Commissioner Ford? A copy of the agenda. And Commissioner Brown Sparks, can you?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, could you please share with Commissioner Ford where that will fall in the agenda when we are discussing it next?
It will fall under reports, B, committees.
Do you see that, Commissioner Ford? That's 7B.
Yeah.
See that? Okay, very good. It's all a learning experience, isn't it?
This
So-
is new for me this week too, so
So it's
we're learning together.
that's right. It's a good thing to do together. Absolutely. That template that they came up with for us has been instrumental and very helpful. So thank you to both Becky and Stephen. Okay. Let's go to, oh, I was way back up there. Scheduling for next meetings. This is going to take a little bit of time. So could we take 5-minute break because we need to discuss the meetings for the next calendar year again? Could we take 5? Becky, can we take 5 minutes and everybody else and reconvene at 7:15?
7:15, sure.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
See you at 7:15. Now for fun stuff on the agenda, CAPS family. There have been some changes to people's schedules, so we need to readdress the agenda that we just, or the calendar that we just approved. And we may just want to, too far into the weeds, we may just want to schedule the next regular session instead of the whole calendar year, like we have already done. So that's what this topic is for, scheduling for next meetings. And meetings is plural. So that would be work sessions and regular sessions. So we have people now that are not available during the day and only available at night. So if we could all look at giving each other grace, and of course we're going to do that, try to figure out a time when we can all meet, and maybe if that means working our schedules around, that's what it means, that we just need to figure it out together. And I am confident that we can. So can everybody pull up availability from the Google Drive? I need to pull mine up.
It's also in our meeting packet.
Yeah, it is. Our shared availability is in our meeting packet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's awfully good to us. So we're looking at just evenings now. Okay. And for the sake of the dialogue, we're looking at just the 6 of us because we can't predict what potentially the other 3 will be doing for availability. And I need comments about times where it's not going to be good for you. Even if it says possible or available, but with stipulations. And Commissioner Routsong, do you have your hand up regarding this topic? Are you still up from being present?
No, sorry, I didn't realize my hand was up.
Thank you. So we're looking at timing. 5 o'clock and on. Looks like we have two possibilities, possibly. Commissioner Roudsong, are you able to change your schedule on Friday to available in the evening for a meeting?
Oh, yeah, yes, I am available to be early Friday evenings.
Let's take a look at that. Could you go in and change your availability to available Friday evenings then? Because I'm showing, maybe I'm looking at the wrong place. Am I looking at the wrong place? That's entirely possible at this hour. Let's see. I'm showing you not available 5 to 7:30. Could you go in and change that to available then? And thank you for that, being flexible.
Sorry, where's the link to get to this
Okay, so in the Google Drive, our shared drive, are you there? Do you know how to get to that pretty easily? So go to Google, and under Google there.
Yeah, I'm in the shared drive.
Okay,
I'm in
great.
there.
Great. Okay, so once you're there, it says CAPS meeting availability, edited just now by Rebecca Bustani. Hey, Becky, what's the correct pronunciation for your last name?
Oh, it's Bustani. But I just
see
put
that
it, I
here.
put a link in the chat just now. So
Okay, because it's not showing up for me. I don't know if I don't have access, but
Okay.
that document isn't in the shared drive for me.
Okay, well, so Becky just put it in, so you can get to it there. Okay. So it looks like, for the sake of conversation, it looks like Friday evenings, and for me, it's every other, I think. And if it's not, it should be.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Friday evenings is the only time that works for everyone of the 6 of us. So knowing that, going forward, let's talk about when our next regular session is.
Oh, can I just suggest that it looks like other people are possible on like Thursday night? There's 3 possibles there. There's a lot of other possibles.
There are, and thank you. You
And
are.
I changed mine, but I don't think we've asked everyone if they could change theirs.
So I've already talked to other people about what's going on. So that's why I wasn't picking on you. I just know that some of the other circumstances that they didn't want to discuss in public had to do with not being available on a regular basis on a Thursday, those possible. So I'm looking for regular, so we don't have to keep changing. And by no means do you have to change your availability if you're not comfortable with it for two times a month. I wasn't available at all on Fridays, and I changed mine to every other. So that's where we are.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I was one of the ones that was 0 availability also. So, so we're looking at Fridays. Can we agree to the 4th Friday for now, just for this next, and then we can all come back and reconvene on this during the next regular session after we all have had time to look at the last Friday of each month and make a decision going forward from there.
So for clarification, what's that date?
the day would be, and somebody correct me if I get it wrong, I think that would be February 25th.
Okay,
Is
that works for me.
correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that would be the fourth Friday. What happens if there's not 4 Fridays? I think there's always 4 Fridays. Not necessarily. Well, we'll find out. Is everybody available to meet for the next regular session on February, what did I just say?
25th.
25th? I heard Commissioner Carey said yes.
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 Okay, let's just do a vote. Commissioner Brown Sparks, are you available that day?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Roudsong,
Yes. I said yes.
It looks like Commissioner Miller's screen is frozen.
sorry about that. I was thrown out and now I'm back. So it looks like everybody said yes for that next meeting. And we all just agree that we'll all look at the calendar and see if the fourth Friday works for meetings going forward for the calendar year. And if there is something that doesn't work, bring it to the next meeting so we can make an adjustment there. Like if you have a vacation planned or, you know, you're taking your cat to the, I don't know, for a walk or the dog on vacation or something. Anything like that, right?
My cat needs to take itself for a walk.
That's true. That is a pushy cat. Okay, so let's do that. So staff, I think we have agreed that we are going to have our next regular session and Commissioner Carey also in the minutes. That's when we're going to have our next session.
Can I ask, does that mean that the work session is
We
going to
aren't
be
there yet.
canceled?
We aren't there yet. We were just.
Oh,
working
okay.
on- we were
I thought
just-
that was the next meeting. Okay.
So we were just working on the regular session meeting first. Okay. And then given my recommendation, and somebody please chime in if you have opinions and whatnot. I think so we get the committee meetings up and running. Maybe we skip the work session this coming month unless we have something very definitive that we want to work on during that work session. Any thoughts? I'm going to go by order. Commissioner Brown Sparks.
I think that's a good plan to get stuff up and running in our committees.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Mann.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And if somebody does have, thank you, Commissioner Mann. If you do have something you want to work on in a work session, aside from committee work, chime in now. This is the time so we can schedule it. Commissioner Ford.
I'm comfortable with skipping this one to work on committees.
Thank you. Commissioner Carey. Thoughts?
I am also, I'll try to mute. I am also okay with skipping that meeting, definitely to get those committees up and rolling.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. And Commissioner Roudsong?
I also agree, and I would support not having a regular working session for the committee of the whole in order to allow us more time to work on the committees unless it's needed. I'm fine with not having working meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Roudsong. So let's all just agree that we're not going to have a work session this in February. It's a short month anyway. And we can discuss whether or not we want to continue with those or not. And I like the idea of as needed, the caveat there, as needed. Becky, could we do that on an as needed basis?
You mean schedule the work session?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think because they've already been approved and on the calendar, I think it's probably better to just leave them and then just cancel.
That's kind of what I was leaning towards too, but I wanted to listen to that as a possibility too, just for the sake of debate.
I mean, I could check with our lawyers, but it might just be just as easy just to leave them on the calendar unless you're going to change the time. Sorry, now my dog's growling.
So because you said that,
Okay.
we would be changing the time because not everybody's available during the day. There's many now that are only available at night. So it's the same discussion that we had for the regular session. I like that, Cam. Commissioner Brown Sparks, you're just nodding your head. Because you know exactly where we're going with that, don't you?
Because it would have to be on Friday and the time would have to be at like 5. So it would be a different day and a different time for everybody to be able to make it.
Right. I mean, there are going to be some times where we can wiggle in committee meetings, and it's going to be tricky, but I know we can get there with the other things. But the regular sessions, we've got those figured out, and I think that's the biggest thing right now. So was there any other availability time? Can everybody help me look for that? Could we possibly, for sake of dialogue, because it's already been approved, other than just a time part, could we change just the time and keep committee meetings on Thursday evening? No, that doesn't work potentially for some, but at least if we do have business, we can use that time slot. Does that make sense? I'm trying to listen to staff too. Now that she knows what she's doing here.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm starting to rethink. It might be better just to cancel them all and just schedule them as needed. But I would like to check and get back to you guys on that.
Okay.
See what's the best approach.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that, because I mean, there's nothing that says that we couldn't schedule on a Thursday, but it might be a problem. It might not. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to overthink it too much. I think we're at the pretty close to the end of the agenda, are we not? Let me see. I've got it all covered up now. Okay. Does anybody else have any thoughts on meeting times? And Commissioner Roudsong, are you good with giving up your Fridays like that?
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I didn't realize that we would have so much trouble finding a time to meet. I'm fine with that time.
Okay. Very good.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, because I didn't have to ask.
I second it.
Right. Meeting.
Well, first and second, whichever one we said. At this point, I'm just. I hope I said it right.
Commission meeting for the 27th of January is adjourned. Thank you.